All right. So this is a fun segment that we have introduced last year to the Baseball Brew Crew podcast. It is Hazy history, and the subject for the Hazy history this month is Robin Ventura versus Nolan Ryan. Who wants to take it away?
But I would love to do the honors because, this is a subject that's been covered a lot over time. But, I'm excited to talk about the real, true American hero in this situation. That is Robin Ventura.
Ooh.
Now, would any of you expected me to say that going in here?
No.
Cowboy Jack may know a little bit more than I, but Cowboy Jack, 2 weeks ago, would you have been like, Kevin, what are you talking about?
I would have thought you had too many Hazies, baby.
Well, you know what? I am having too many Hazies, but that's besides the point. So I wanted to start off by talking about a great American hero, Robin Ventura. And sure, we can talk about his MLB career, but I want to talk about first what led to that and why he's an American hero. So he played at Oklahoma State University, and he was actually an amazing, amazing player. He actually, in 3 seasons, his career batting average in 3 seasons, 428. Imagine that. No one can even bat 400 in Major League Baseball nowadays. And that's a career record. And he was also record holder in hits, runs, second in the program for like doubles, home runs, et cetera, et cetera. And so I want to talk about in his second season, he actually did something that you would not believe. He actually passed Joe DiMaggio. And Michael, do you have the footage that you could show, please?
I do.
2-2 to Robin Ventura. Hit hard to right field. Going over. As the right field couldn't play it. Rumsey. On the third goes Diaz. And Robin Ventura is now hit in 57 straight games to keep the record hitting streak alive and go past that magical number of Joe DiMaggio of 56.
Now there's a look at the swing. Short, compact. Rumsey cuts it off. But these left-hand hitters from Oklahoma State are going to give Ingram a little tougher time this third time around.
So I wanted to show that, and he actually ended up getting one more game in the hitting streak and being 58 games, which is still the college record. And I believe there's maybe like a guy in like Division I or AA or something that got 60 games, but don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about Robin Ventura. And so he did that, and they actually made it to the World Series that year in college. Unfortunately, lost to Stanford. And what's funny is that a guy he would have played against is a future teammate of his named not Cowboy Jack McDowell, but just Jack McDowell. Blackjack McDowell. I think
Blackjack McDowell.
Yes, Blackjack McDowell. And so then he ended up playing 3 years. He actually played as a junior. He led the team to 61 wins. And Oklahoma State was a pretty great team in the 80s. Yep. 61 wins in the regular season. They didn't make the World Series in the end. But in that year, he actually won what would be called the Golden Spikes Award, which is the best amateur baseball player award. And what a new award that came out, I think 87, is the Dick Howser Trophy. Dick Howser was a former manager of Major League Baseball who passed away of brain cancer, I believe, in 87. And so this is like the Heisman Trophy for college baseball. So he won both those awards. So that tells you, like, this guy is an incredible player. And I'm going to get more to that later. And the other thing he did, and this is why he's an American hero, Cowboy Jack Durango and Angelo, Trinidad, Michael Mondragon, he went and played for his country and won a gold medal in the 1988 Olympics in Seoul, South Korea. So I'm going to definitely give a cheers and a props to him.
Cheers.
Yes, absolutely. And I believe still it wasn't an official sport in Major League Baseball. Baseball is not an official sport in the Summer Olympics yet. But hey, no one knows it's a demonstrational sport.
Right. Who
cares? No one knows that except for me mentioning it.
That's why we call it Hazy. That's why we call it Hazy.
That's why we call it Hazy. And so one thing that was kind of surprising is he got drafted as a junior by the White Sox. And I'm guessing it has to be because he's a junior. He ended up being the 10th pick. And they probably were thinking, like, are we going to be able to get this guy? Because, does he want to play his 4th year? And it turned out they went back and they actually signed him in the offseason. And this is why I wanted to take note of this, too. I kind of just love this. So after the 80 Olympics, he met with the White Sox, and he signed with the White Sox after only 2.5 hours of negotiations from Robin Ventura. This is what he said back in that time period. and this is a interview from his parents' house. I don't want to break the bank. I had an idea in mind. I didn't want to go any higher than that. And I think it was like, I think his first year in Major League Baseball was like $100,000, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah. And what I love too, and like I said, he was a junior, and I love this part. Ventura acted without an agent, and he and the White Sox agreed not to discuss the terms, but he said that he and his family negotiated with the White Sox in a car dealership in Santa Maria where his parents lived. And I just like, what? And, you know, and that was, like I said, he was the number 1 draft pick for the White Sox, 10th overall that year. And they wanted him to go immediately to minor leagues. He's like, no way. I'm going to play for my country. And he won the gold medal. And even said, and he's back in the day, it's like, it's the best thing I ever did in sports.
Wow. That's interesting.
I think that's an old quote, but I bet from the time period when he first talked to them, because I remember he was already accomplished so much in college. Mm-hmm. And, you know, he said, it's not whether I did good or bad, but that I won the gold medal with 19 other guys. So,
wow.
So he took that he did a very important thing. And you figure he's a junior in college. He's got to be 21, 22 years old that time. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And, you know, he wouldn't discuss what he got signed for, but he said it was enough to make me happy. So I'm like, you know, that's a really cool thing. I just like that little nugget before I talk briefly about his pro career. So he actually played as a player from 1989 all the way to 2004, 2-time All-Star, 6 Gold Gloves. Unfortunately, he had some injuries that really end up debilitating him towards the end of his career. Here's a fun one, Cowboy Jack. He's 5th all-time in Grand Slam home runs.
Really?
Yes. Now, do you have any idea who is number 1 on that list?
Number 1 on that list?
And I will give you a hint. He was on the tournament. He was in the tournament. He didn't make it, but he was in the tournament for the Diamond Icons. Michael Mondragon is nodding his head. He thinks he's
nodding his head. Oh, Morgana the Kissing Bandit.
I don't know. I think he's right. Quite frankly,
you know what? He is extremely close because it does involve kissing.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
So come on, Jack. Come on, Jack.
Angelo.
Alex Rodriguez.
There you go.
Nailed it.
Himself, you know,
nailed it.
Baskets.
That's isn't that Derek Jeter? Never mind.
Why we call it Hazy, baby?
Exactly. So Robin Ventura had 18 Grand Slams before he hit 2 in one game. He also is the only person to hit one in both games of doubleheader. So in a doubleheader, he hit a Grand Slam in each of the 2 games. Only player ever to do that. And nowadays, you hardly ever even get doubleheader. So who knows if that'll ever happen again.
Right.
But you know what, Michael? Let's talk about his most famous Grand Slam.
Yes.
Or you want to give the background on this? You know more. You might be the best one to talk about this.
Yeah. So it was in 1999, and it was
already.
Yeah, it was. I remember this year because I if I'm not mistaken, it was. I think they played the Cardinals before this, and I remember. I think it was Mike Hampton who was super dominant for the Mets that year and just shut down the Cardinals.
Sure.
But this is the year there was the Subway series. If I'm, that's 2000. Sorry,
no, it's not because you're going to show us the clip here. But I will note they did not win this series.
That's right. So let's play the clip. When we talk about Grand Slams, he hit one, but it didn't count as a Grand Slam. So here we go.
How about this? 2 nights in a row, the Braves were so close to going to the World Series. 2-1 delivery. Robin Ventura! The Mets win! 4-3! There will be a Game 6!
They just playing Mojo Rising?
Hold on. Hey, we'll get to there in a minute. So what happened there, Michael? Why don't you explain what happened there?
So basically, he all he needed was like a single, a fly ball, anything to score the run from third, and he hit a home run. Well, he rounded first, and they didn't let him complete the bases. So essentially, instead of a walk-off grand slam, which he's known for, it's a grand. Or actually, it was a single and a 3-run single.
Yeah, so the grand slam single. And here you go, Cowboy Jack is actually in my notes. So the 1990 Mets are making a run in the playoffs. So Robin Ventura took the phrase "Mojo Rising" from the Doors song "LA Woman" and made it the rally cry for the Mets that year.
Wow.
Yes. And he actually met Jim Morrison's widow when the Mets invited her to a game just before the playoffs.
Oh,
so,
wow.
When you're at the Mojo Rising. So that's like, yeah, I laughed that I actually found that little nugget and you got to catch that. And I was like, that's a great little thing. That the Mojo Rising was their call in 1999. Didn't get the World Series, but a good playoff run regardless.
That is awesome.
And so I'm sorry I'm going a long time Robin Ventura, but I like to just talk about a guy who I feel life might have been ruined in some ways by what we're going to talk about later.
Right.
But, after his playing career, he got to actually manage the White Sox, which he played most of his career for 5 years. Unfortunately, he only had one winning season in the first year he managed them. But I want to just make this end going full circle and make it a nice thing going back to Oklahoma State. In January 2020, Ventura returned to Oklahoma State to complete his degree because, remember, he left as a junior and served as a student assistant coach for the baseball team. And the manager of Oklahoma State University is a guy named Josh Holliday. Michael, does that last name ring a bell to you at all?
It does. Is that Matt Holliday's
brother? Yes.
Oh, it's his brother. Oh, yeah. No kidding.
Matt Holliday's brother's name is Josh Holliday. Their dad, I think, coached at Oklahoma State, and several years ago, Josh, after playing, never made the major leagues, but he did play a little bit of minor league ball and played Oklahoma State, took over the team and managed them. And then here's where it gets better, Michael, and I don't think you know this. Matt actually joined the staff as the outfield and hitting coach in 2020. But after the 2022 season, Matt left the Oklahoma State and he went back to the Cardinals as their bench coach. I thought
I happen to, you brought it all back. I happen to remember that. That's awesome.
Yeah. And so I want to close out by just giving his other big college accolades. At the end of he was named the third best player in college baseball in the 20th century.
Wow.
That tells you something right there. Number 2, which is great because it's another guy from Oklahoma State, is a guy named Pete Incaviglia, who I think we might have talked about briefly on the show before. And the number 1 best college player of the 20th century is Bob Horner from what university, Cowboy Jack?
Arizona State University.
That's right. Great job, Cowboy Jack.
And Incaviglia was from Oklahoma State as well, correct?
That's what I was saying. Yes, that's why I brought it. Yes. Yeah, I think he was like 2 or 3 years ahead of Robin, because he would have been in the major leagues he would have got drafted 84, 85.
Yeah.
So, and also I do want to mention that Robin is also a charter member, the first year member of the National College Baseball Hall of Fame in 2006, which leads me to another guy who was in that same Hall of Fame class, a guy that we love here, and another guy on the Diamond Icon ballot, Dave Winfield.
All right.
Now, why do I bring up Dave Winfield here in this situation?
Did Dave Winfield have any drama with Mr. Ventura?
No, but he is actually the only other player to charge at Nolan Ryan. Michael Mondragon, can you go to that clip, please?
You got it.
Did challenge Ryan, in fact, 13 years before to the day. Having to wear a brown uniform must have been upsetting enough to Dave Winfield, but getting a whisker pitch from Ryan set him off.
After he took a punch at me, and I realized that, if he'd have connected, he could have really hurt me. So I took the attitude, if anybody else comes out there, I'm not going to be passive about it, because they're coming out with the intent to hurt you, and so you have to protect yourself.
So there's that little nugget. I'm going to give you what Winfield's point of view was, since we got what Ryan said there. So, and this is 1980. And did you hear that, Cowboy Jack? 13 years to the day before the famous Nolan Ryan Robin Ventura incident, which that's crazy in and of itself. So this is this is Dave's last year as a Padre too. He would have signed with the Yankees that offseason, and Nolan Ryan was obviously pitching for Houston. So as Winfield remembers it, Ryan had already brushed him back twice in that game with inside pitches.
Oof.
So, yeah, when it happened the third time, Winfield headed for the mound, and this is a quote from Winnie. The catcher, Luis Pujols, tried to stop me, so I stiff-armed him, and he went down. The umpire got in the way, and I grabbed him and moved him. I got to Nolan and took a big swing, and the next thing I know, we were on the bottom of a big pile trying to get little punches in. As you saw kind of there. It kind of broke away before we saw whatever mayhem went off. And and you know what happened in that, Cowboy Jack? Who do you think got in trouble?
If I had to guess, it was probably Dave Winfield.
Dave Winfield got ejected from that game, and
Ooh.
Nolan Ryan was able to just keep pitching.
Boo.
That's a little foreshadowing as well, right?
Maybe. I wouldn't have thought when we hashtag do the research how much I was going to be able to just weave everything together.
Yes.
So, Cowboy Jack, why don't I just throw you this softball?
So the seeds of the incident that we're discussing tonight were planted in 1990 in Sarasota, Florida, and those seeds grew for 3 years before finally exploding on August 4th, 1993 in Arlington, Texas. During a spring training game against the Texas Rangers, the White Sox middle infielder Craig Grebeck, who made up for his shorter than MLB average height of 5'7" with the attitude of a monster, popped a home run on the first pitch of the game, and he jogged the bases, celebrating, pumping his fists triumphantly, and whooping it up. This little celebration drew the ire of a very stoic 44-year-old Texas gunslinger sitting on the Rangers bench.
Wait. You're telling me that Nolan was sitting on the bench and got mad?
Nolan was
the one pitching.
Nolan's so angry he gets mad on the bench. On October 10th, 1990, the Rangers faced down the White Sox in Comiskey Park. Nolan Ryan was on the mound, and he threw what he thought would be an easy strike, only to have the man at bat, the aforementioned Mr. Craig Grebeck himself, hit his first MLB four-bagger.
Oh, wow.
Understandably, Grebeck was a bit excited. He's new to the league. He just popped a home run off one of the best pitchers of all time. So what did he do? He jogged the bases. He pumped his fists. He celebrated, and he whooped it up. Needless to say, this did not sit well with old 34, and quite frankly pissed off the cantankerous cattle ranching Ryan Express. Let's just say he took that personally.
Cowboy Jack?
Yes, sir.
I have a question. Did I remember right that either Craig or either the batter before him or batter after him, Ozzie Gant, also hit a home run off Nolan Ryan that day?
I believe it was the batter after him.
So so Grebeck hit the first one, then the next batter hit a home run too. That might have agitated Nolan too, I think, a little bit.
So I think it was the excessive celebration.
Yes.
Now, after the game, this is why I know for a fact it was the excessive celebration. After the game, Nolan Ryan had a conversation with Rangers pitching coach Tom House, saying that Grebeck looked to be about 12 years old, and then he darkly stated, and I quote, "Well, I'm going to put some age on that little squirt. He's swinging like he isn't afraid of me."
Oh, no.
Now, gentlemen, there is nothing wrong with having a competitive nature. Hell, being a fierce competitor is what takes somebody from the high school dugout to the show. But there is a difference between being a fierce competitor and being a vindictive, mean-spirited jerk. And in my humble opinion, what happens next has no place in Major League Ball. 1 week later, the Sox took it on the road to face the Rangers in Arlington, Texas. And when Grebeck, whose locker room was always located between Frank Thomas and Bo Jackson's locker, had the name on the team of the Little Hurt because he was only 5'7". So the Little Hurt steps up to plate against Nolan Ryan. Nolan Ryan remembered not only the spring training excitement, but the first major league home run celebration. He reached down to his heels and he threw some Texas heat straight into Little Hurt's ribs. Nolan meant to send a message, and send a message he did. Grebeck was left with a broken rib from this little display of poor sportsmanship. Speculation has been made that the White Sox style of play is what led Nolan Ryan to wage this one-man beanball war against the black and white. Sox batters were instructed to cover the outside third of the plate and even dive towards the plate to cover the outside corner, causing them to be in the way of what Nolan Ryan believed to be his half of the plate. Nolan Ryan's somewhat self-important view was that half of home plate belonged to him and half belonged to the batter. Batters didn't get to know what half of the plate Ryan considered to be his, but if a batter took away what he considered to be his half, he was going to make them pay. Whatever the message Nolan Ryan was trying to send kicked off 3 seasons of continual friction between the Texas Rangers and the Chicago White Sox that culminated in the Sox placing a bounty. This is an unspoken locker room bounty on the head of Nolan Ryan.
Ooh.
That bounty goes, the omerta, the code of silence. If he hits a batter with a ball, no matter what, that batter needs to rush the mound and make that man pay. That bounty, that omerta, that locker room deal gave us one of baseball's most chaotic on-field brawls.
Yeah, Cowboy Jack, before you go on the instant, let me just add, too, that this is 1993. Nowadays, the White Sox and the Rangers do not play each other nearly as much as they did. They play much less now than they did back in the 90s, because at this time period, they were in the same division. There was still only the AL West, the AL East, the NL West, and the NL East. So the White Sox and the Rangers were divisional rivals, and they're not anymore. I just want to give that context to see why this might be a little more heated than you would think it would be normally.
Right.
Yeah. No, they faced each other a lot, and from 1990 up until 1993, it was a very, very heated rivalry. So 32,312 fans gathered in the Arlington, Texas stadium on August 4th, 1993. On the heels of an 11-6 shellacking at the hands of the White Sox, the Rangers faced down the boys from Chicago's South Side. In the top of the third inning, with Chicago ahead 2-0, our new Olympic hero, Robin Ventura, settled into his batting stance, facing down Nolan Ryan. Ventura, no doubt, was remembering being beaned by Ryan 2 years prior in 1991. When the pitch came, it wasn't a low and away fastball, which was the go-to pitch of the time. It was a pitch directly aimed at Robin Ventura, a pitch aimed at sending a message. The pitch hit Ventura squarely in the back. Now, gentlemen, by using the highest scientific technology available to me and my superior mathematical equations and abilities, I've deduced that ball struck Ventura's back approximately 25 inches away from the side of home plate.
Oh my God.
Taking into consideration that the batter's box is 6 inches away from the side of home plate, that pitch was 19 inches into the batter's box. He wasn't throwing a pitch, boys. He was trying to hurt this man. So Ventura gets hit right directly in the back. He takes 3 steps towards first base, and he decided the beanball war needed to end. He dropped his bat, he threw off his helmet, and he charged Nolan Ryan. Now, inexplicably, for reasons only known to Ventura, he made a rookie mistake upon his approach, and instead of going straight for him like old D. Winnie did, he slowed his approach. He didn't charge as fast as he started, and he dropped his head, giving Nolan Ryan a perfect opportunity to snatch a headlock and get some shots in. Nolan Ryan was able to tee off on Ventura with 5 shots to the top of the head, with his 6th and last hit, an uppercut-style punch landing directly in Ventura's face before the benches cleared and the field turned into a literal battle royale. Ventura only lasted 22 seconds in the 2-minute and 4-second brawl before being pulled out and forced to watch the melee from the outskirts. Nolan, on the other hand, he was caught in the middle of the two teams clashing, and he was pushed to the bottom of the pile, swallowed by a mass of humanity for 51 seconds. Ventura stood on the outside of the fracas watching the pandemonium, and according to Nolan Ryan, he was being trampled, he couldn't breathe, and he thought his time on this earth was done. But two big muscular arms like Christmas hams, belonging to none other than Mr. Bo Jackson, pulled Nolan Ryan out of the dog pile. He was throwing bodies off of him and pulled brother out. Ladies and gentlemen, when I say pandemonium, I mean pandemonium. Rangers coach Mickey Hatcher sustained a cut above his right eye. White Sox manager Judo Gene Lamont did his best Stone Cold Steve Austin impression, shaking his head from side to side, talking trash, and attacking any man in a Rangers uniform within arm's reach. The Texas Rangers backup catcher shockingly bit Mr. Bo Jackson on the forearm.
Oh,
he
God.
bit Bo Jackson on the forearm.
Do we know if this was before or after he pulled Nolan out of the
This was after Nolan had been pulled out of the fight.
All right, thank you.
Nolan gets pulled out and more fight happens.
Okay.
So when the umpires were finally able to break up the madness and separate the teams, the decision was made to eject Robin Ventura and Gene Lamont, but much to the chagrin of anyone that holds fast that professional baseball should be played with class and sportsmanship, Nolan Ryan was allowed to stay in the game. The umpires let him stay in the game on the pretext of self-defense, although he intentionally hit a batter and then threw the first punch. Footage of the fight is available all over YouTube, and we're going to watch it right after I'm done talking. But I encourage everybody within the sound of my voice to study this video, not only for the visual spectacle, but listen to the crowd's reaction. As previously stated, the 32,312 people in attendance sounded more like 500,000. As the crowd cheered and chanted the name of their hometown boy when they realized that the Ryan Express was going to stay in the game. They already witnessed one. Now, I think that the umpires had seen enough brawling for one night, and they were most likely worried that any action against the middle-aged narcissistic jackass Nolan Ryan would result in a full-scale riot in Arlington Stadium. Disco Machine Michael Mondragon, cue the tape.
Here's Ventura, RBI single in the first. Watch out. Look at this. Took exception to the pitch. And one after Nolan Ryan. He wants to start things back up right here. And there's Lamont. And here we go again. I cannot see who is in the middle. Bo is in there. Somebody drags out. Doug Manzolino. Jeff Schwartz.
Boy, Mickey Hatcher's got a pretty good cut over his right eye, as you can see right there. Boy, this thing's getting ugly out. Going to get these two teams back to their benches.
Oh, my gosh.
Now, gentlemen, this incident is one of baseball's most polarizing fights, and it has been discussed for nigh 30 years at the point of this recording, with each side firmly believing they are correct. Chicago White Sox player, 3-time All-Star, and American League Cy Young Award winner Blackjack McDowell insisted that Ryan was culpable, and he was pleased that Ryan Ventura charged him. He is quoted as saying, Ryan had been throwing at batters forever, and no one ever had the guts to do anything about it. Someone had to do it. Ryan pulled that stuff wherever he goes. Now, known war criminal and former U.S. President George W. Bush proclaimed in the Dallas Daily News, "Remember the Alamo. I saw Nolan square away like a bull, and I thought that this guy Ventura has lost his senses." It was a fantastic moment for the Rangers and elevated Nolan Ryan's legend.
Yeah. May I add that I saw a George Bush mention that said he was so amped up because, remember, he was a part owner of the Rangers through this time span. I want to make sure that's mentioned too, why he would have been here for this game. He said, I was so amped up, I was thinking of rushing the field myself. He said that, and I'm like, yeah, okay. He said, until I saw Bo Jackson, then I stopped myself. I'm like, that didn't stop Gino Petrelli. I believe that is the backup catcher because I saw Petrelli. Yeah. I'm like, I bet
Gino Petrelli is the one that bit Bo Jackson's wrist.
I saw backup catcher. I knew it had to be in when I saw that Ivan Pud Rodriguez. Another guy, it seemed like he was really antagonizing. He started the second melee there.
Yeah. Yep. So now with the dust settled and the hindsight of video replays, I believe that it's safe to say that taking a 5-ounce ball with a cork and rubber core with yarn tightly wound around it, then snugly sewn into a leather pouch, throwing it at 90 miles per hour, which, boys, packs the same amount of kinetic energy as a .22 caliber bullet fired from a target pistol at another human being during a professional baseball game is at the very least mean-spirited and at most should be considered assault. It's reprehensible, it's dishonorable, and it's disgraceful. So, the deplorable baseball bum of the month is number 34, the Ryan Express, Mr. Nolan Ryan himself.
Cheers, Cowboy Jack. Cheers to you on that. I have to do this. I want to know Angelo and Michael's thoughts about this. I'm sure you've read or seen about this. Angelo, do you have a different take now after hearing Cowboy Jack and my version of this?
Well, yeah, I think it's very easy to go back and at surface level, think about and see that and know that what Ryan did was wrong, but he was always portrayed as a hero, right? And for his accolades on the baseball field, but this has truly shifted my point of view and perspective on Nolan Ryan. And, just like we strapped the rocket on the old back of Lars Nootbaar back in May of 2021, this young blue chipper from Oklahoma State University, Robin Ventura, is the biggest babyface in this story.
Big time. No, and
Hey. Can I say one thing? The number 2 babyface, and I saw him in the brawl, Cowboy Jack Durango. You know who it is, right?
Frank Thomas?
The Little Hurt.
The Little Hurt, yes.
He's scrappy.
I was like so excited when I saw his name on the back.
No, it's so sad because Ventura was such a great athlete and such a humble player that this tarnished his legacy in baseball so much that this is what he's known for instead of being such a great ambassador for the sport.
Yeah, the fact that he approached the fight in the manner that he did shows that he didn't do that often, right? No. But if you can go back to the photo of him having Ventura in the headlock.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Look at Nolan Ryan's middle knuckle.
Yeah. He's hitting him. He's hitting him with the CC star knuckle, bro. That's
this old man scrapped the timer too.
Yeah.
Yes.
This young spry.
Yeah.
Robin Ventura was not ready and prepared for that. So again, completely changed my perspective and point of view. Thank you to Kevin Lyon and Cowboy Jack for an amazing Hazy history. And let's be clear. There's one thing clearly not hazy about this story, and that's who's the heel and who's the baby.
Yeah.
Which you never would have thought that till you met Cowboy Jack and Kevin. We'll twist it up. We'll twist the heat around.
Yeah. And this is the heroic pose that we always see, the iconic picture of Nolan Ryan. And you can tell that Robin Ventura was a bit of a fish out of water where he's like, I made this commitment to do this. And he's the one that got hit. And much like the Zapruder film, like the way the breakdown of this is like insane. So kudos to you guys for going this far in depth. Again, Robin Ventura, is he on the ballot of the Diamond Icons? I think
he just earned his spot. I think he just earned his spot.
I will definitely put him in there. So
I hope so because I want to be a Mojo Rising.
I love it. Well, to end this out, I'm going to have a quote that I'd like to use whenever we do these hazy histories. There are 8 million stories in baseball's naked city. This has been one of them. So if you don't know that quote, I highly recommend that you # do the research.